Hey, Jim Schultz back with you guys for the Greeks Crash Course. We are now heading into the stretch run as we are into episode number 7 of the Greeks Crash Course, where we are going to cover another higher order Greek, color. Now, color is another one of those guys that it doesn't really get the press time. It doesn't really get the time in the spotlight that some of the other Greeks get. But as we're going to see here today, it is critically important to what we do. Let's follow the same sequence that we have followed for all the Greeks up to this point. Let's talk about what color is. Let's talk about how we use color. And let's talk about color and return. And lastly, let's talk about color and risk. So without further ado, let's dive right into episode number 7, color. So what is color? Guys, let's not reinvent the wheel here. Let's cover this thing mathematically, then let's cover it intuitively. So mathematically, color is another derivative of the Black-Scholes option pricing model, but this time it's not a first derivative. It's not even a second derivative. Color is a third derivative. So we're going to go down to a brand new layer of the onion here today. Specifically, color is a derivative of the Black-Scholes option pricing model, first with respect to price, second with respect to price, and then third with respect to time. So it's price, price, time. Now, you might remember that there's another Greek that we've already covered, i.e. gamma, that is price, then price. So if you think about color, it's essentially the derivative of gamma with respect to time. Okay, so there's the math. But what does that actually mean? Like, how can we actually use that? Well, here we go. Color measures how gamma changes as time passes. So in a sense, it's very similar to theta, or very similar to charm, because theta measures how option prices change as time passes. Charm measures how delta values change as time passes. And color simply measures gamma as the variable in question. How does it change as time passes? And here is the most important part, the most important thing to the whole operation, that is color. The mathematical nature of this Greek shows us the following. As options get closer and closer to expiration, as options march closer and closer to that third Friday in expiration month, here is what we know. Gammas get more potent. Gammas get stronger. It doesn't matter if they're positive. It doesn't matter if they're negative. Does this ring a bell? It should. If it doesn't, that's okay. Just hang with me for the next few minutes, and it's going to be ringing loud and clear. Okay, so how do we use color at... It's very similar to the other higher order Greek that we just covered in the last episode of the Greeks Crash Course when we look at charm. Color, it's not really something that we actively measure inside of our portfolios, at least not consciously. Like, we don't open up our Tastyworks platform wondering how our portfolio's color is doing, looking to measure or monitor a position's color. That's not really how we use this Greek. Now, interestingly though, as I kind of snuck in that little consciously on y'all a couple of seconds ago, we do use this all the time. We lean on the spirit of this Greek on a pretty regular basis. Now, we call it something else. Like, it goes by a different name, but we are using color all along, and we'll come back to this in just a couple of minutes. Okay, so what about color's impact on returns? Well, for us this is basically going to be a non-event. Not like a row non-event. There's a little bit more to it than that, but it's going to be a non-event nevertheless. And the reason why is this. Remember, the base of color is gamma. How do we view gamma at? How do we trade gamma at? It's kind of a trick question. We don't trade gamma at. Back in episode number 4, when we looked at gamma directly, we talked about gamma scalping. We talked about how some traders like to piggyback off of exploding gamma late in an expiration cycle to nail those directional moves, to really maximize their returns in the times when they're able to get the directional moves correct. We don't do that. At we do the opposite, right? We reverse gamma scalp. So when it comes to color's impact on returns, it's the same as gamma's impact on returns. We're not using gamma to maximize returns. We're using gamma to minimize risk. So we're not going to use color to maximize returns. We're going to use color to minimize risk, which brings us to our final section today. Okay, so what about color's impact on risk? Well, if you haven't figured it out yet, here is what we've been hinting at for the last couple of minutes. Color shows us how gamma changes over time. Color shows us that gamma gets stronger over time. In other words, color is gamma risk. Einhorn is Finkel, and Finkel is Einhorn. So in the end, we might not be actively looking at color, but we use it every single time we adjust a position at 21 days to go. Right? We might not be derivating the Black-Scholes option pricing model, once and then twice and then thrice to see what comes out, but we are using color every single time we close a position early so that we don't get too close to expiration Friday. That, my friends, is all because of color. All right, so you made it to the end of episode 7 inside of the Greeks Crash Course, where you are now a color expert. If you want to share this episode with one of your trader friends, that would help us out a ton. If you want to save this for yourself for a future reference, that's probably also a pretty good idea. And when you are ready, I will see you inside of episode 8, where we are going to cover VAMA and things are going to start to come together. We'll see you guys there.